Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are now going to talk as for what happened after Uhud. Now we know Uhud was in Shawwal of the third year, right? Shawwal of the third year of Hijrah. And it was not hidden that the fact that Uhud did not leave very good consequences for the Muslims. So the prestige, like we said, and the honor and the majesty which they had won after Badr a year before, they now lost most of it, if not all of it. But they regained some of it, like we mentioned, in Hamra'ul Asad. When they went right after Uhud, a day after, they went out to the place called Hamra'ul Asad, expecting Abu Sufyan to come back with the Quraysh army to fight, but they did not go back. But still, the news of Uhud traveled around the Arabs in Arabia, and enemies of Islam started to have their hopes high again. And they had their plans, which they started again to attack the Muslims and to finish off Islam. So there's a few of these events which occurred. We're going to discuss them, not in so much detail, but in enough detail for us to know what happened, because they're all events as part of the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. Now I want to say something, and that is that we saw how we spent a lot of time talking about Islam in Mecca, the beginning of prophethood, and how most of it, if not all of it, was that the Muslims were weak, oppressed, tortured, abused, under financial, economical, psychological, physical abuse. Every kind of way. To the point that they were forced. You have to know the Muslims didn't move by wanting to go out of Mecca. The Prophet ﷺ, when he left Mecca, he turned back and he said, what? You are the best land of Allah's earth. And if it's not for the fact that your people chased me out, I'd never leave. So now they left, now they gained some strength. Now it was time for them to rise up, which is just a normal procedure. So maybe some of you did not hear that part. Will come today or whatever's coming after and hear that there was a battle after skirmish, after a battle, after an expedition, after an attack, and you thought, oh, this is what the Seerah is about. They were just fighting. No, they were not just fighting. There was a period of that, and then there was a period of this. So you have to understand it like that. I know even some of us who are so-called good Muslims, you feel shy of talking about the Seerah of your Prophet because you believed someone told you it's all about fighting. No, it's not. And if it was, it's fighting for a good cause which was needed. We said even an animal, if you push it against the wall, is going to fight you back. Later on, a human being. So after Uhud, these other enemies of Islam, their hopes, they grew again. And they started plotting against the Muslims, to attack the Muslims. So the Prophet ﷺ, being a great leader, you don't wait for your enemy to attack you, you counterattack. And you counterattack without them knowing. That's the best form of attack. That's the best form of attack is what? The best form of defense is attack. You defend yourself by attacking them, so that they learn a lesson. They don't come close to Medina where there's children, there's women and everything. So the first expedition the Prophet ﷺ, he sent out was the Sri of Abu Salama. Abu Salama ibn Abdul Asad, the husband of Salama obviously, and the brother of the Prophet ﷺ and Hamza by breastfeeding, by suckling. Hamza and the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Salama, they both breastfed from Thuwayba. So they are considered brothers. Okay? Tulayha, this man called Tulayha, and his mention is going to come again. This guy Tulayha, he's going to claim he's a prophet after. So you know this guy is a real criminal. Tulayha and his brother Salama, the two sons of Khuwaylid, they gathered their people, Banu Asad, and whoever agreed with them to come out and fight the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. So when the Prophet ﷺ heard of that news, he sent an army under Abu Salama, Abdullah ibn Abdul Asad. And Abu Salama, he had been injured in Uhud. He had been injured in Uhud, but he survived. He was okay. So he was sent in charge of this small army. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said to him, "Ukhruj fi hadhihi as-sariyah faqad ista'maltuka alayha." You should go out as the leader of this army. I have put you in charge. And there was 150 men of the Muhajirin and the Ansar. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Go until you reach the water source of Banu Asad, that tribe, and attack them while they don't know that you're coming." So those guys were preparing to attack Medina. They didn't know the Prophet ﷺ already got the news to him. And the Prophet ﷺ, as was his custom, whenever he sent someone out or someone traveled, he would advise him to the leader to fear Allah and to be just with whoever is under him. Abu Salama, he went out in the first day of Muharram. So, first day of Muharram, that was end of Shawwal. End of Shawwal was Uhud and Hamra al-Asad. Okay? So you had what? Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah. And the year ended, so this is the beginning of Shawwal. Okay? So a month or 2 months right after that. Abu Salama, he went with his 150 men until they reached the water source of Banu Asad. And he attacked them when they had their cattle, their sheep and their goat and whatnot. And some of the slaves were taking care of those animals. They ran away. When they went to their masters, when they heard the news, those people, Tulayha and his brother, they ran away. So Abu Salama, he came back with this wealth which he collected. But when he came back, Abu Salama radiallahu anhu, he did not stay except a few days, a month or so, and then he died from the wounds which he suffered in Uhud. And that is the death of Abu Salama radiallahu anhu. Now, the story of Abu Salama's death is narrated by Salama. So who's Salama? The wife of Abu Salama, obviously. Right? She says, when Abu Salama was about to die, they went and got the Prophet ﷺ to come and visit his brother. This is his brother, right? When he came, the women were crying and saying stuff. And he said, don't say anything. Because at this moment, when someone is about to die, whatever dua you make is going to be accepted. There's angels around here. So when someone is about to die, don't say anything negative, bad. Say things which are good. Make dua for him. Okay? And he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا تدعوا على أنفسكم فإن الملائكة يؤمنون على ما تقولون. The malaika will say Amin to whatever dua you say. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma ghfir li Abi Salama, O Allah, forgive Abu Salama, وارفع درجته في المهديين, and raise his degrees among those who are rightly guided, واخلفه في عقبه في الغابرين, and let him have his progeny from among those who stay behind, واغفر لنا وله يا رب العالمين, and forgive him and us, O Lord of the universe, وافسح له في قبره, and make his grave to be expansive, ونور له فيه, and make it full of light. And that's when Abu Salama, he died, radiallahu anhu. Salama, she said, so when Abu Salama died, of course the Muslims went and buried him. I prepared myself to cry for him, right? As was their customs, the Arab, even other tribes. Yeah, the husband dies, so the wife has to go into a period of mourning, right? So she says, in fact, and then while I was preparing to cry for my husband, there's a woman from Said, okay, from Said, and the author says here, from Said, not Said which is in Egypt, Said which is the outer parts of Medina. She came and she wanted to help me to cry. She was one of those women who come to cry just to make you cry when someone dies. When she came, the Prophet ﷺ said to Salama, أَتُرِيدِينَ أَن تَدْخُلِ الشَّيْطَانَ بَيْتًا أَخْرَجَهُ اللَّهُ مِنْهُ. Do you want to let in a shaitan into a house which Allah has taken away all the shaitans? Meaning this woman is evil. And remember, we just talked about in Uhud, the Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited what? An-niyaha. He said there's no screaming and wailing and this professional crying anymore. You cry, you cry. That's it. He says, so I stopped crying. Salama says, so I stopped crying. And then I heard the Prophet ﷺ saying, مَا مِن مُسْلِمٍ تُصِيبُهُ مُصِيبَةٌ. There's no Muslim who's struck with a calamity, a problem, a disaster. ثُمَّ يَقُولُ, and then he says, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Inna lillahi, we belong to Allah, wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and we shall return to Him. And he says, Allahumma, O Allah my Lord, ujurni fi musibati, give me the reward in this calamity of mine, wakhlif li khayran minhu, and give me something better than this. No Muslim says these words except that illa akhlafahu Allahu lahu khayran minha. Allah will give you something better. This is extremely important. It's one of those things you have to learn practically from today. You're driving and then you get a punctured tire, whatever it is. Your car broke up. You failed in your business. You failed in your exam. You lost someone you love. Any musibah. You say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un is not just when someone dies. It's for any musibah. Any calamity which strikes you. What do you say? Inna lillahi. We belong to Allah. That reminds you that Allah does whatever He wants. And it's always good. Wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And we shall return to Him. At the end, whatever you suffer in this world is going to end. It's temporary. Whoever says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allahumma ajurni fi musibati. Oh Allah, reward me in this calamity of mine. وَخْلُفْ لِي خَيْرًا مِنْهَا, and give me something better. If you say that dua sincerely, Allah will give you something better. Allah will give you something better. She says, Salama, this is Sahih Muslim. So when I heard this, I said what the Prophet ﷺ said. But then I said, my calamity, I lost Abu Salama. Who's going to be better than Abu Salama? And that's the end of the story. For now. Tayyib, in the same month of Muharram, the Prophet ﷺ, he sent Abdullah ibn Unais to fight Khalid bin Sufyan al-Hudhali. Okay? And Khalid bin Sufyan al-Hudhali, this man, he had gathered people to go and fight again the Muslims in Medina. Again, like all of these people, now they had hopes. We're going to attack these people in Medina. Okay? So the Prophet ﷺ sent Abdullah bin Unais. But before he sent him out, Abdullah bin Unais, he said, Ya Rasulullah, how am I going to know him? Describe him to me. And the Prophet ﷺ said to Abdullah bin Unais, إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُ, when you see this guy, because he's so evil, وَجَدْتُ لَهُ إِقْشِعْرَارِيَّ, you'll shake. You will be allergic to this man. Just pure evil soul, devil in human's clothing. So Abdullah ibn Unais, he went out. Another narration says, إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُ هِبْتَهُ وَفَرَقْتَ مِنْهُ وَذَكَرْتَ الشَّيْطَانِ. When you see this man, you'll be struck with fear, you'll remember the shaitan. That's how evil he is. There's some human beings that evil. Huh? You see him, you see Jahannam, bro. And some people you see, mashallah, it's a good Muslim, you see him, your heart becomes good. وَلِيَاذًا بِاللَّهِ. So Abdullah bin Unais, he set out, and his sword was unleashed already, because that's the description he was given. Until when he reached that place, it was Asr. He said, when I met him, I felt exactly how the Prophet ﷺ told me I will feel. And I went close to him. But I feared that if I delay attacking him, I have to pray Asr, something might come between me and him. So I prayed while walking. This is in a state of war. They are fighting. In fighting, you can pray while walking. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ فَرِجَالًا أَوْ رُكْبَانًا. If you're in a state of fear, you can pray while on your animal, or rijalan doesn't mean man. It means walking. All of you have to learn Arabic. Say rijal means man. It doesn't make sense, bro. No, rijala means the state of walking. You can pray in war. You can pray while walking. So he said, I started to pray while walking towards him. طيب. أؤمي برأسي الركوع السجود. How do you pray while walking? You read and you move your head with ruku' and sujud. When I got to him, he said, who's this man? Man al-Rajul, who are you? And Abdullah said, I'm a man from the Arabs. I have heard that you are gathering an army to go fight this man, meaning the Prophet ﷺ. So I came to help you in that. He said, oh, you're welcome then. He said, فَمَشِيتُ مَعَهُ. I walked with him for a few, and then until I got the opportunity, I killed him, and I left his women, or women of his family, they were crying for him. When I reached Medina, the Prophet ﷺ said, أَفْلَحَ الْوُجُوهِ أَفْلَحَتِ الْوُجُوهِ. These faces, they bring success. And I said, Ya Rasulullah, I killed him. He said, you said the truth. And then the Prophet ﷺ stood with me for a moment, and then he entered me into his house. And in his house, he took a stick, and he gave it to me. And he said, أمسك هذه عندك يا عبد الله بن أنيس. Hold this for me, Abdullah bin Unais. He says, so I held it. فخرجت بها على الناس. And then I went out. Look, this is Islam. The Prophet ﷺ takes a stick and gives it to him. He takes it. He says, hold this. He's holding it. Why, what, when? That's not Islam. Why do I have to pray 5 times? Because you have to. Why do I have to wear hijab? Because you have to. Why do I? Because you have to. That's what Allah has said. It's Islam. You submit. He took the stick and he left. So when he went out, of course, he's now a hero. He killed this enemy of Islam. They said to him, what is this stick? And he said, the stick, the Prophet ﷺ told me to hold it. And they said to him, why don't you ask the Prophet ﷺ, what is this stick for? Maybe because they knew there has to be a reason. The Prophet ﷺ won't just give you a stick. He says, فَرَجَعْتُ, I went to the Prophet ﷺ and I said, لِمَا أَعْتَيْتَنِي هَذَا الْعَصَى. Why do you give me this stick, O Messenger of Allah? قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, and the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, آيَةٌ, it's a sign, بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, between me and you on the day of judgment. إِنَّ أَقَلَّ النَّاسِ الْمُتَحَدِّرُونَ يَوْمَئِذٍ. We are the least people on that day. الْمُتَخَسِّرُونَ يَوْمَئِذٍ. We are the least people who will have these kind of symbols on that day. It was a sign. The Prophet ﷺ told him, you're special basically. You have served Islam. Today they give you a medal, right? A medal of honor. You served your nation, right or wrong? He served his nation. He was given a medal of honor, a stick though. But that stick is going to help him into Jannah. Tayyib? This was the story of Abdullah bin Unais. So what did he do? He took that stick and he tied it with his sword, which he used to fight with. for the rest of his life, until when he died, they took that stick and they buried it with him. Yes, it's the sign between him and the Prophet ﷺ. And that is Abdullah ibn Unais radiallahu anhu. Now, the next month, which is the month of, what comes after Muharram? Safar. We are in the month of Safar now. You have to know your Islamic calendar. We are in the month of Safar. So this is the month of Safar of the 4th year. This is when the expedition of the fight of Raji' happened. And this is important. Raji' is a place, watering place for the tribe of Hudayl. Hudayl. Okay? Hudayl, who's the most famous man to come from Hudayl? Whoever knows that, I'll give him a special gift. Not a stick. A special gift. No. I said the most famous man. Salim is Shaitan. Abdullah bin Mas'ud. Did I tell you the answer though? You're disqualified. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. He's Hudali. He's from the best of the Hudayl. I have to give you a gift. I didn't say today though. So inshallah 5-10 years down the road, you should wait. So Afwan, no. Let me finish. I know you have questions. I know there's a lot and there's a lot to cover. Okay? I'm sorry today there'll be no questions though. Questions next week, inshallah. This was in Safar of the 4th year. Safar of the 4th year. Al-Imam al-Bukhari, he reported this story. He says, the Prophet ﷺ, he sent 10 of his Sahaba under the command of Asim ibn Thabit, who I told you to remember when we talked about Uhud. Asim ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu. He sent 10 men under the command of Asim ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu, and he is the grandfather of Asim ibn Umar bin Khattab. Okay? And they set out towards Raji'. When they reached the water of Al-Hada'a, which is I'm not sure, he did not say where that is exactly. It is between Usfan and Makkah, close to Makkah. It was mentioned to a tribe of Banu Lihyan that these Muslims are coming. So they sent more than 100 men to go and attack them. In fact, more than 200 men. All of them were archers. They were prepared to fight. Asim was not, just 10 men. They went out and they followed them and they saw the traces of their food, and they said, this dates is the dates of Medina. See, the Arabs, they know people like that. You pass by somewhere, whatever seeds you left, they say, these seeds are from Medina. So they followed them. When Asim, he saw that he's being followed, they tried to run and to seek refuge in a high place, like a hill. But the people surrounded them. And they said to them, if you come down, we promise you safety. We won't do anything to you. We will give you the promise of safety. But Asim was the leader. He said, no. Amma ana, as for me, فوالله لا أنزل اليوم في ذمة الكافر في ذمة كافر. I will not go under the promise of a kafir. And he said, Allahumma akhbir anna nabiyyak. Oh Allah, inform for us your prophet. Inform for us your prophet. And they started throwing arrows at them. But of course, 10 men against 200 men. So he was killed. He was killed. And when he was killed and the Quraysh got news, that is why I told you, remember him when he talked about Uhud. When the Quraysh got news, they said, send his body. Remember that woman? She made a promise, Sulafa, the one whose sons and husband were all killed holding the flag for the kuffar in Uhud. And she said what? If Allah gives me life, I will drink wine from the head of Asim. So when they heard that Banu Lihyan, they had killed Asim, they said, bring his body so he can do that. This is how much they hated the Muslims. They were going to cut off his head and drink wine from his head. But Asim Afwan, he had, I think we mentioned this before also, he had always used to make dua, oh Allah, do not make me ever touch someone who's not a Muslim, and do not let someone who's not a Muslim touch me. He always used to make that dua. Asim ibn Thabit, radiallahu anhu. So when they came to get his body, they found hornets. You know hornets? Like wasps. Yeah. They found huge amount of hornets. They could not come close. They could not come close. So they left his body. That is why Umar radiallahu anhu used to say, Allah protects his believing slave while he's alive and while he's dead. Okay? While he's dead. Now, for the rest of them, they were killed, 7 of them, and then 3 of them, they agreed to surrender. And these 3 was Khubayb ibn Adi, radiallahu anhu, Zayd ibn Dathina, radiallahu anhu, and Abdullah ibn Tariq, from the 10. They said, okay, we'll surrender. The 7 were killed with Asim. When they came down, right away they started tying them up like they were prisoners. And Abdullah bin Tariq, he said what? هَذَا أَوَّلُ غَدْرِكُمْ. This is the first deception they're doing. They said we are safe. And he did not succumb. He did not surrender. So he fought them and they killed him, obviously. 200 men. So Abdullah bin Tariq, radiallahu anhu, he was killed right then. And they took Khubayb, okay, they took Khubayb ibn Adi and Zayd ibn Dathina. Now, of course, Banu Lihyan, I can guarantee most of you did not even know of Banu Lihyan. You had it right now. They're just walking under the Quraysh of Makkah, the Kuffar. So they took those 2 and they're going to give them to the Quraysh of Makkah, the arch enemies of Islam. Now let's do one by one. Zayd ibn Dathina. Zayd ibn Dathina radiallahu anhu, he was bought by Safwan ibn Umayyah. Safwan bin Umayyah was one of the main people who incited to fight Uhud. His father was killed. He was one of the leaders of the Kuffar. Safwan bin Umayyah, he bought Zayd ibn Dathina because his father Umayyah bin Khalaf was killed by the Muslims. In fact, it was Zayd who killed him, if I'm not wrong. And they took him outside of the haram to kill him. Look, even in their kufr, they know you can't kill someone in the haram in Makkah. So they took him outside the haram to kill him. When they did that, and all of them came around, obviously now they're happy to got a Muslim. Abu Sufyan said to Zayd, I ask you by Allah, would you love that you will be safe in your home and Muhammad is in your place right now? Look what he brought to you. And Zayd radiallahu anhu said, Wallahi, ما أحب أن محمدا الآن في مكانه هو فيه تصيبه شوكة تؤذيه. Wallahi, I do not love the place wherever the Prophet ﷺ is right now, that even a small thorn should prick him. وإني جالس في أهلي while I'm sitting with my family. Abu Sufyan, when he had that, he said, I have never seen a people who love someone more than the companions of Muhammad ﷺ love Muhammad. That is what he said, and they killed Zayd. In fact, one narration said, they crucified him. That was Zayd ibn Dathina radiallahu anhu. As for Khubayb now Khubayb has a story. Khubayb ibn Adi radiallahu anhu, he was bought by Banu al-Harith, the tribe of Harith ibn Amir. Why? Because Khubayb, he had killed Harith bin Amir in Badr. So they purchased him to kill him. But they did not kill him right away like Zayd, they put him as a prisoner. And he stayed there for days. Now there's a woman from Banu Haritha who's telling this story. She says, we put him in there for days until the day of him being killed reached. And when the day came, he's in a cage, prison obviously. Khubayb, he asked the woman, he said, can I get a razor blade, so I can shave my pubic hair? And she was surprised. He said, you're about to be killed, that's what you want? Because that was the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It's one of the fitrah. Islam came with proper hygiene. Excellent hygiene, in fact. It's haram for you as a Muslim to go 40 days, more than 40 days, and not shave your pubic hair or cut your nails. For the man, trim your mustache. Leave your beard alone. Anas bin Malik, he says, the Prophet ﷺ used to count for us, imagine, and remind us, did you guys shave? Hygiene is extremely important. So that's what he asked for. He said, I want to shave. So she gave him the razor blade. Well, he took the razor blade. There was a small child of the woman. The small child crawled into the cage. So she had left. When she came back, she saw her child in the cage with Khubayb, and Khubayb has his razor. And she started to scream, and he said, Khubayb, Atakhafin alayhi, you fear for this child? I'm never going to harm this child. And he gave the child back. That is why she said, Wallahi, I have never seen a captive better than Khubayb. Because of this, and then she said, and also, I used to come and I would see him eating grapes in a time where there was no fruits in Mecca. Not alone grapes. There will be no fruit in Mecca. I would see him eating grapes in the cage. And no fruits grow in Mecca. Everything is imported. And that is Rihlat al-Shita'i wa Sayf. Okay? But that's from the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. We talked about that. فَجَعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ. Oh Allah, make the people, love the people of Mecca. وَارْزُقْهُمْ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ. You go to Mecca, you find every kind of fruit you want today. But none of it grows there, just like those days. She said, I used to see him eating grapes, and in Mecca there's no fruit. That was from the karam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking care of his slave, Khubayb. So after he shaved, they took him, and they were ready to kill him. And before, he said to them, Da'uni usalli li Rabbi. Let me pray to my Lord before you kill me. And he prayed 2 rak'ahs. And so he was the first Muslim to start that sunnah, to pray 2 rak'ahs before he's killed. When he finished, he said, if it was not for the fact that you think I'm a coward, I would make my salah longer. I would make it longer. And then he said, Allahumma ahsihim adada, waqtulhum badada, wa la tughadir minhum ahada. Oh Allah, take hold of all of them and kill them in the worst way, and do not let any of these people survive. Muawiyah was there with his father, Abu Sufyan. This was before they were Muslims. He said when Khubayb, he made that dua, I fell down because of fear. I fell on the ground because of fear. The Arabs even then, again, they believed in Allah. They just had idols. And they knew that if someone made dua against you, more or less is going to get you. Tayyib? And then Khubayb radiallahu anhu, he said those famous lines of poetry. فَلَسْتُ أُبَالِ حِينَ أُقْتَلُ مُسْلِمًا على أي جنب كان في الله مصرعي وذلك في ذات الإله وإن يشاء يبارك على أوصال شلو ممزعي. You want to translate it? You read Arabic, study Arabic, come, I'll teach you Arabic, you translate it. Loose translation. Translating poetry is the worst job you can get in the world, let me tell you that. Arabic poetry. He says, وَلَسْتُ أُبَالِ حِينَ أُقْتَلُ مُسْلِمًا. I do not care if I'm killed as long as I'm a Muslim. عَلَى أَيِّ جَنْبٍ كَانَ فِي اللَّهِ مَصْرَعِي. Whatever side I fall on, as long as I'm killed for the sake of Allah. وَذَلِكَ فِي ذَاتِ الْإِلَهِ وَإِنْ يَشَاء. And that is by the permission of Allah, I'm being killed for Allah. يُبَارِكْ عَلَى أَوْصَالِ شِلْوٍ مُمَزَّعِ. Allah will bless this body of mine which will be cut open. And that is when they killed Khubayb radiallahu anhu. And the man who killed him was the son of Al-Harith who he killed in Badr. Uqba ibn al-Harith. Tayyib? Uqba ibn al-Harith. And that is where Hassan ibn Thabit, the great poet of the Prophet ﷺ, this is a great story. He made poetry specifically for Khubayb. He said, ما بال عينك لا ترقى مدامعها صحا على الصدر مثل اللؤلؤ الفلقي على خبيب وفي الرحمن مصرعه لا فشل حين تلقاه ولا نزق يا عين جودي بدمع منك منسكب وابكي خبيبا مع الغادين لم يأب صقرا توسط في الأنصار منصبه حلو السجية محضا غير مؤتشب قد هاج عيني على علات عبرتها إذ قيل نص على جذع من الخشب. If you understand Arabic, that has to pierce your heart. He said, Hassan, ما بال عينك لا ترقى مدامعها. What is wrong with your eyes? It doesn't shed its water, its tears. Sahhan, meaning a lot of tears. Ala sadri, let the tears fall on the chest. مثل اللؤلؤ الفلقي, like how pearls are uncut from the thread and they all fall down. Ala Khubayb, cry for Khubayb. Of ar-Rahmah masra'uhu, he was killed for the sake of ar-Rahman. La fishlin, he was not a coward. حين تلقاه, when you ever met him. Wala nazaqi, and he was not someone who had arrogance or ignorance. Ya aynu, O my eye, judi bidam'in minki munsakibin. Give a lot of tears generously, let them flow out. Wabki, and cry Khubayban for Khubayb. Ma'al ghadina lam ya'ubi, because Khubayb, he is not coming back, he has gone. Saqran tawassata fil ansari mansibuhu. He was a rock, or he was a falcon who was well known among the Ansari's position. Hulwu sajiyati, he had sweet character. Mahdan, he was always sincere. غير مؤتشب, he was not someone who was double-faced or bad character. قد هاج عيني على علات عبرتها, meaning my eyes have gone out for all these ways. إذ قيل, when it was said, نص على جذع من الخشب, they crucified him on a piece of palm, the trunk of the tree. Time. What do we learn from this story, guys? Number one, poetry is allowed in Islam at its right time and its right place with its right usage. Okay, it's allowed. It's allowed. Hassan ibn Thabit, you hear those words, you have to cry. It has to touch your heart. Number two, a Muslim can refuse to be taken as a captive if he knows they're going to betray him anyway. Number three, we see that we keep the promise we have with the mushrikun, even if they're enemies. And we do not attack the innocent ones like a child. Okay? Even if they betrayed you, you don't go and kill an innocent soul like a child. Taib. Next, we see the ithbat of the karamat, the miracles, the extraordinary events which Allah gave to His close servants, like the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. And next, we see that it's allowed for you to make dua against the enemies of Islam. And next, we see the sunnah if you are about to be killed, to pray 2 rak'ahs. And finally, we see how much they loved the Prophet ﷺ and how strong their deen was. How strong their deen was. So this is what happened to them. The next event was Bi'r Ma'una, which will be inshallah the next time we meet with Allah. Because if I start now, we'll stop at 10:15 or 10:30. Yeah, we don't want to do that, right? Yeah. So if you have questions for 5 minutes, questions on what we talked about today, you can ask. Tafadhali. Or for the gift. Ahsant. Jazakallah khairan. She said, I can give you the gift of dua. I don't have to wait for 5 years. He says he did not ask for intercession. Tayyib, I'll think about the gift. Fadal. Who's better? Maryam alayhi salam or Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu? No, there's no hadith like that. هذا من أقوال علماء. هذا المفهوم يعني. بس نص صريح من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يوجد. لكن المقولة صحيح بدون شك. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم never said that the best human being after the Prophet is Abu Bakr. No, he didn't say that. But all of what he said about Abu Bakr, that's what we understand. This is the best man. Right? But we asked Siddiq, who's the best Siddiq? Not who's the best person after the Prophets. The best man after the Prophet is Abu Bakr, bidun shak. But who's the best Siddiq?
Isn't Maryam considered as a prophet?
No, she's not a prophet. Maryam is not a prophet. Alayhi salam. Yes, there's people who Allah, he talked to them, but they're not prophets. Allah sent Jibril to them. The mother of Musa alayhi salam, Allah sent Jibril to her. Right? But is she a prophet? No, she's not a prophet. Khidr, in the correct opinion, we call Hijrah. He's not a prophet. Dhul Qarnayn, he's not a prophet. ثم اتبع سببا. It's not a prophet. إن منكم رجالا إن قد كان من قبلكم رجال ملهمون. يكلمهم الله من غير أن يكون أنبياء وإن كان فيكم فهو عمر. So Allah used to make Umar speak the truth, but he's not a prophet. So that debate is still open, Habib. Is it Maryam the best Siddiq or Abu Bakr?
You say Maryam alayhi salam based on what?
Because it's the best we can find. We say Maryam alayhi salam. And because the Prophet ﷺ used that, if I'm not wrong, in one hadith he said that. If I remember clearly, he said that. So we say that also. But there's nothing wrong with you if you say Abu Bakr alayhi salam. Alright? There's nothing wrong. Once in a while. Even though what it become used to is what? We say radiallahu anhu. Right? That is why you see the Shia, they say what?
Ali.
Not Ali. Al-Imam Ali alayhi salam. And he's the only Imam. No, all of them are Imam. You can say Al-Imam Abu Bakr, you can say that. Right? Or Shaykh al-Islam. These are all titles. When you say Shaykh al-Islam, we mean who? Mostly. Ibn Taymiyyah. You don't have to say Shaykh al-Islam. You can say Al-Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, like you say Imam Abu Hanifa. Or you can say Shaykh al-Islam Abu Hanifa. It's just titles. تفضل. مثل ماذا؟ Okay. She's asking about those new apps, video games. The real game like ايش؟ Okay. Like skydiving or bungee jumping. Yeah, the roller coaster. Is this part of the prohibited things which cause suicide? I want to skydive. I can't say haram. I'm giving up. If it's suicide, if you do it the wrong way, no, it's not guaranteed that you're going to die. It's not suicide. ليس القاء إلى التهلكة. Unless it's something which is it's not safe at all, then yes. لكن هذا بشكل عام جائز. لا يجوز المسلم أن يرسل ابنه أو ابنته إلى مدرسة كاثوليكية. Hey guys, it is not allowed for a Muslim to send his son or his daughter to a Catholic school. As long as he has an option, it's not allowed. It's haram for you to do that. I'm telling you today. If you have an option, it's haram. Public school is better than that. Why? Because from what I know, you're going to be forced to study the Bible and whatnot. Your child, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, is not even proper in his aqeedah as a Muslim, his tawheed. What do you think will happen to him? What do you think will happen to him, even high school? Don't talk, please. Don't talk. We have Muslim young men and women who go to university, not even high school today. And every day you hear of a new Muslim man and woman, young man and woman who's living Islam, right or wrong. Those of you who go to university, you know that. So why are you going to do that? It's not allowed. If he has a choice, I said. Yes.
I actually have two friends who do that, and their reason is at least they're learning about God. And I said, well, in public school, their excuse is they don't learn about God.
Okay, so if you send your child to Catholic school to learn about God, I'm sorry to say, and that's a shame. Where is God in your house? It doesn't even make sense. Tayyib, 2 more questions and then we go home. تفضل أبو عبد الله. في مفاضلة is between the shuhada, the martyrs of Badr and the martyrs of Uhud. أهل بدر أفضل الصحابة إطلاقا. اللي قتل فيه ولا ما قتل فيه. إن الله قد طلع إلى أهل بدر فقال اعملوا ما شئتم فإن قد غفرت لكم. الله أعلم, بس بالنسبة لسؤالك Allah knows best. But the best Sahaba, those who fought in Badr. Is the wife allowed to lie to his husband the same way the husband is allowed to lie to his wife? By the way, let me correct this. The lying which is allowed for the husband to his wife is to create love between them. Not to say, I don't have money and you have money. No, that's not the lying which you talk. That's not the lying. The Prophet ﷺ said, you lie so you create more love to get closer. Yes, the wife is allowed also. That's a warning, guys. Because you're going home today. Yes, Umar.
When you speak of some of the Sahaba that Before the Sahaba, you mentioned the sheikhs that were martyred. What age are you talking about? Like this, they're in 60s or 70s?
No, most of them are very young.
No, but the ones that were killed.
Oh, the ones who were killed were in their 60s, 70s, yes. They were, when they say old, they were old.
And they were still able to fight.
They were still able to go out and fight. That is why we said they were excused. The fact that they were excused, it showed that they were not in their 40s, 50s. Like the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr, that was their age, 40s, 50s. It's clear that these ones, they were way older than that. That's why they were excused, right? But they still, we said the Islamic ruling now is what? They don't have to, but if they want, you can't really stop them. Yes. Now, Abdullah. أكيد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم when he said how can a people succeed those who injure their prophet, is this proof that the Prophet ﷺ used to speak of ijtihad, his own scholarly deduction? Sometimes yes, the Prophet was mujtahid. Some matters he spoke from his own self, and whatever he spoke of his own self, if Allah wanted to correct it, Allah will correct it right away. So this has happened twice now. Where and where? Here in Uhud. And? No. Oh, okay, 3 times. Very good. The captives of Badr, when he decided to ransom them. And where? Abasa wa tawalla. The Prophet ﷺ was talking to the major kuffar, those who are about to believe. They never listened to him. And then Abdullah bin Maktum was a Muslim already. He is blind. He doesn't know what is happening. He came and said, Ya Rasulullah, alimni, teach me. And the Prophet ﷺ turned away. And Allah right away, He did what? He corrected him. That's not what you do. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّ. We talked about that in the beginning of the Seerah. اجتهاد موجود عند النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. هذا سيأتي إن شاء الله. Good. That's another one. Any more questions? Abdullah, تفضل. 10 people. Because you are not here yesterday. You go back to the Battle of Uhud and listen to it. That's why I told you specifically yesterday. Pay attention to this detail because it's going to come after. She said, if he dies, I'm going to cut off his head and put wine in his head and drink it. That's how evil she was thinking. To make his head like a cup. And it's the stuff you see in cartoons and horror movies. Al-Yadhan Billah. Allah.